Hello, Bill Molyneux here, and once again we're at Fort Frederick, and I've done several videos of the fort being outside here, but I have not taken the camera inside. Well, we're going to go into the buildings today, so follow me on a tour of Fort Frederick, and we have two buildings to check out. We have the left side barracks and the right side. So we're going to start with the right side and we'll go room to room. I'm going to pause the video here. Okay, this is the first building and the first room on the first floor. And this room portrays the captain's quarters. And one nice thing of many of the nice things that Fort Frederick does here under the command of Robert Ambrose, Park Ranger, and Ranger Bob Studi, is they really have these rooms decorated. This fort was rebuilt by this Conservation Corps in the 30s. So I don't make a lot of clunky noise because I'm wearing buckled shoes. I will stop the video to the next room. So here we are next door, and this is the captain's office. So we have the writing desk, his journals, maps, the officer's sword. Oh, we have some, I don't know, wine probably would be there. And again, we have our hue cut timbers. So let's visit the next room. Well, this room is called the Grand Hall. Robert Napar and also several other officers, Frank of the British Army, when we have our French Indian War events here. George Bray, this is where they're usually camped out at. So, and what Fort Frederick really does nice is how they set these rooms up to look just like you were walking back in time. Clothing, maps, they have wampum belt over there. I've done videos on wampum. So the Grand Hall, as this is called, and of course we still have the same timbers. All right, well, I've been in here to be interrogated. I'm normally French when I'm at this fort, and for some reason I'm quite often captured and made to divulge secrets, which I never do. All right, let's hit another room. Little humor there. So this is a junior officers' quarters, and not quite as spunky, not as large as the other officers' rooms were. And we have some journals, books. But again, set up really nice. So let's go and check another room. All right, here we are at the Armory. Now, JD, who does the History Channel YouTube, who never would ever watch any of my YouTube videos, but he loves weapons. And the Armory here, I bet JD and Eric from the Gettysburg Museum of History would really think this room is cool. And if anyone out there knows JD and watches this video, let him know that the Armory at Fort Frederick has a lot of muskets. And looking from over here to there, they pretty much all look like Brown Besses. I don't see any good French Charlevilles over there. So They have the sharpening stone to sharpen the swords, ammunition, and of course all the implements to be used for the artillery. Cartridge boxes. Alright, musket balls, working on locks. Let's head on to another room. So here we are in the storehouse. Now, what's interesting is I've been captured and they've used this as a prison for me for the reenactments, and it's been interesting giving the tourists a feeling of how it was like during the French Indian War and the French Indian War muster that happens here in August. And I very much enjoy that event here at Fort Frederick. So this is the storehouse. You notice all the British canteens in the back. And wow, we have buckets galore. So this is where we're at. We're at the end of this building, and you can see the outline of the governor's mansion and the large Maryland flag, which is the Maryland colonial flag, which is different than the Maryland state flag now. So our next adventure is we're going to go up the stairs on this right side barracks. So I'm going to pause the video so you don't have to hear my loud buckled shoes on the wooden steps. So from Fort Frederick, from the barracks, second floor, this is what things are looking like. There's Chris, one of the park employees, and our gates. And these wooden floorboards, they make a lot of noise when you're walking on them with buckled shoes with the wooden heels. So let's go into our next room. The storeroom and Cherokee gifts. Well, during the French Indian War, the natives they played a huge part in the French Indian War. They fought on both sides. They also tried to stay neutral. They were just trying to survive. And many fought on the side of the French, and some fought on the side of the British. But trade goods were a big part of whose side they fought on. And I've done a trade good video for trade goods with Native Americans that Dennis McKibben that did for me. And if you look on my YouTube channel, you can learn all about Native American trade goods. Dennis is an expert in that category. All right, let's go hit another room. Well, here we are at the surgeon's quarters. So the doctor is here. Well, the doctor is not in. Looks like he's got some medicines here. Now, there's always a joke about the doctors and amputations. And all the way through the Civil War, a bone gets hit by a musket ball, and amputation is really the cure-all. And that's for a good 150 years, really. So let's go on to another room. And I don't see any surgeon's tools in here. I do see a box, though, that probably has them. So here we are at the hospital. And I was just talking about surgeon's tools. Okay, well, look at that. He is all ready to operate. Modern medicine in 1755. The saw. I hope whoever's watching my videos, and this Fort Frederick video specifically, that you're enjoying this. I have friends that do watch this channel that they'll never travel here. They live too far away. Always do a shout out to Jack in Arizona. And always the first responders and police up in Broome County, New York. and John and the guys at the Sheriff's Department. So the hospital has 4 beds. In time of war, of course, Fort Frederick was never attacked. It did have some raids nearby. I believe a native killed someone cutting wood near the fort, and a few incidences like that. But if this fort was under attack and had a lot of wounded, there would be wounded, of course, in this hospital on the floors and just piled everywhere. Last of the Mohegans would give you a good feeling of that if you've seen that movie. All right, let's go on to another room. Okay, the next 2 rooms are a visual timeline sort of the French Indian War in Fort Frederick. So here we have the map of Fort Frederick, and right now we are here. So you can map-wise, Fort Frederick sits right on the border. It's a stone masonry fort, and right across the border is Fort Loudon, and then you have Fort Ligonier, and the whole chain of forts. And over at the Susquehanna River here, you would have Fort Halifax, Fort Augusta, and so forth. And you would have these forts to run a line of protection for the colonists, because you would send out patrols from rangers from these forts. The French Indian War and Pontiac's Rebellion. So here we have uniforms. And during the American Revolution, the fort became a prison of war camp for the British. So the British from the Battle of Saratoga in '77 were brought here, and it was pressed into service. So after the American Revolution, it was farmland. During the Civil War, it was briefly used as a garrison to watch the railroad lines. And then the big story is the Civilian Conservation Corps. And they came out here and they put the fort back together. So we really have a lot to thank. And the programs during the 30s helped put people back to work, and it saved or rebuilt and the Shenandoah Valley and many historic sites. So, you know, it's been over we're coming up to 100 years that happened. So this is it for this barracks, top and bottom. Now, one of the things Fort Frederick does is they do a musket shooting for the tourists, but we're going to go across and visit that barracks. Well, we are now in the guard room. So the guards would be sleeping here, and they'd have their muskets and their cartridge boxes at the ready. The buckets for the cannon. And the cannon needs a lot of water because you swab out the barrel after every time you fire it. So that's the guard room. Now we're going to be heading down. So here we are in the barracks, and I've stayed here many a times, even though I'm French. 2 men to a bunk. All right, let's see what's in the next room. And the door's right around the corner, so we'll just keep it going. And another barracks. Believe it or not, in the world of reenacting, I'll have people come up to my fire, wherever I'm camped, and they'll ask several questions that are sort of odd. One, if that is real fire. Believe it or not, I get asked that a lot when I'm near a city. Also, if I'm going to sleep wherever I am. And the other thing is, are you going to really eat that food you're cooking on that fire? So, we are now at the end of our barracks first floor, and here we are at the officer's kitchen. Very cool, very cool. And you'll notice they have good china, good glassware. You know, they're not eating off stone plates or something. This is, and we're gonna head up the stairs. I'm gonna pause the video for that because I'll make a lot of clunky noise going up there. Well, here we are at the women's quarters. And yes, there'd be women in the fort besides the wives of the officers. There'd be women here to help maintain the fort with the laundry. As you can see, it's already out. But the women played a huge part in frontier life. It's a real amazing tribute to women that I think there's a line in the French Indian War movie where they're having children and hacking their way through the forest and helping their husbands fight off whatever foe they're fighting. So, and it's beautiful here at the fort. We have nice weather. This June 2nd or 3rd, I've sort of lost track. You know, I've gone back in time. So we'll so, oh my goodness, we actually have soldiers here sleeping. Quite amazing. So that's how it would be. We're going to go hit the other side. I'm going to pause the video. Sorry, it was a little choppy there. So here we have the Highlander. And the Highlander, probably somebody out there is watching this video is asking, hey, is this fort haunted? Well, I'm not an official park person. I'm just a helper volunteer. So I'm going to tell you what I've been told from different people. But this is not sanctioned by the state of Maryland or anything, or the park. This is just Bill Molyneux speaking. But a Highlander did pass away at this fort. And there's been many people that have seen this Highlander walking the parade grounds, walking by the well. And so take it or leave it, the Highlander story. And for me, I know for a fact I thought I saw him walking last year over by the Wright Barracks. I actually thought it was another reenactor. There was only 3 of us staying overnight that night, and that reenactor said he never woke up or left his bed. I actually had gone up and thought it was him. So, if you come to Fort Frederick, it may or may not be haunted. So, let's head out. And let's go see what Chris is doing.
Take a little bit of this gunpowder. it into that pan, just like I showed you earlier. Then the next command will be shut pan, which is now shut, and immediately he's going to cast it about, put it down here. Technically, the von Steuben manual, which is the manual that like the Continental Army used, holds it like this. And then they're going to hold it right here at the ready. The sergeant will say, charged with cartridge. He's going to hold it like that. He's going to put it down. Then the sergeant will say, draw a rammer. I'm a little short, so I got to do this a little bit. Then he's going to stand right here at the command. He's going to wait till charge, ram down cartridge. As you can see there, it's sticking out, so there's definitely gunpowder in there. Then he's going to automatically pull it, turn it to its little slot here. He's going to leave it about right here. He's going to wait till the sergeant says, return rammer. And then after that, he automatically returns the shoulder. Now this is where I'm going to say that it's going to be loud here in a minute, okay? So I'm going to be giving the firing commands. Once the soldiers are ready to shoot, they're going to say ready, or they're going to say poised fire lock, cock fire lock. And then they take their hammer stall off. I like to hold it right here so I can easily get to it. This is when the big bang happens, buddy, if you wanted to cover your ears. Then they're going to say aim, fire. Oh, I had a misfire. I have to wait a few seconds and see if it goes off. Alright, and if that happens, whether the shot goes off or not, I'm just going to say these guns are always temperamental. I kind of just ask the gun nicely to shoot whether it wants to or not. This happens fairly often. But I'm going to put it back to half cock. And I'm going to check my situation here. Alright. I'm going to need to grab some more gunpowder. I want to make sure it goes off this time, so I'm going to add a little bit more just in case. Alright, now I'm going to try again, okay? So, cock fire lock. Aim. Loud noise. Fire. Return to priming position.
Hey everybody, it's Pat McGuire, historical interpreter here at Fort Frederick in Big Pool, Maryland. Very excited to see you all this weekend. We're doing our British Prisoner of War event. We are going to have the group, His Majesty's 17th Foot, portraying the British Revolutionary War soldiers that were imprisoned inside of the fort walls between 1778 and 1783. The staff, volunteers as well, will be outside of the fort walls portraying the Continental Guard, the Maryland Virginia Rifle Regiment that was here in 1778 and 9 doing the initial guard duties, and we'll also be portraying the militia from Frederick County and Washington County that took over for them when the regiment moved on. So we hope to see you out here. The weather's going to be great. There's going to be guys portraying the daily life of what the soldiers were like. There's us out here who are going to be showing you what the drill and musketry of the Continental soldiers look like. Lots of cool stuff to see, so we hope to see you here this weekend.
Hey, can I ask a couple quick questions? I
it.
have people that watch my YouTube channel from Tucson, Arizona, and Australia.
What's up, Tucson? What's up, Australia?
So I do have a question. Was the fort ever really attacked?
No, in fact, the French never made it down here during the French and Indian War era. Obviously, if you follow Bill here, you're probably aware that we are a French and Indian War fortification. We were built about 20 years prior to declaring independence. So we are built at a time when England and France were squaring off for control of this new continent here in North America. The French are obviously our main area of focus. Just 200 miles west or so of our fort is the modern-day city of Pittsburgh, and we know the French are out there with a massive fortification controlling the waterways. So we are looking west, waiting for them, but they never come out here in force. Maybe some patrols. A lot of things we have to speculate because a lot of the records are incomplete or haven't been revealed yet. But what we do know is no large force of French troops ever made it this far east to attack. But we assume that a number of Indian scouting parties with some French officers might have shown up on the edge of the sphere as far as the fort is concerned. One night a guard is shot at. We have a lot of evidence to suggest that that might have been a raiding party, but nothing concrete and nothing major. So simple answer, Bill, no, the French never make it down here to attack.
All right, and I guess one more and then I'll let you go. I know you're really busy getting this event ready, but can you just do a little recap of what happens here in the end of August?
In the end of August, we are doing the French and Indian War muster. So if you would like to see a tactical demonstration, opposing forces of what French and Indian War era military field movements and firing would have looked like, we will have obviously Bill's French forces out here on the field. We will have English forces out here on the field. And while no battle took place here specifically, so we're not reenacting something that took place, we are just going to show you what those armies in the field would have looked like maneuvering around each other, positioning and firing against each other. So I believe that is August 27th and 28th here at Fort Frederick in Big Pool, Maryland. So if you can make it out, we would love to see you for that. It's probably one of our biggest events this summer.
All right, well, thank you for doing a quick interview. And Bill Molyneux saying goodbye to everyone. Stay safe, be kind, and be extra kind and courteous. Thank you.